final game of the third round of the Pettit Senior Hurling Championship is in Wexford Park on Sunday at 7:15, and it's between the Shells and Oulart. So far from the first couple of rounds, the Shells are unbeaten, whilst Oulart are yet to win. The Shells have drawn with Lynn and they bet Aldgate, while Oulart lost by a point to Aldgate and then drew with Rathnure. Darren, we'll go to you first. How do you feel this game will go?
It could be the game of the weekend. And Oulart have to win the league a couple of weeks ago there. They're in spirits are high, like, you know, the confidence is up. Shells are second in the group, they win, they're more or less through. Shells find it having beaten Oulart in the championship, I think, if I'm not wrong, since 98, since they were their first senior year. I think they beat Oulart in the first round. And they haven't beaten them since. Oulart kind of have a bit of a hold on them, but you know, the game is in Wexford Park. Shells the last day completely dismantled Aldgate. Aldgate, if you're going on form like Aldgate, dismantled Oulart for 45 minutes in Belfield. Oulart started bad again, Aldgate. They were 10 points down in one stage in the second half. In fairness, they came back, had Rory Jacobs sent off and still could have snuck a draw. You know, probably a fair result would have been a draw that evening, but didn't happen. Oulart came into the second match then again, Rathnure, and you know, Rathnure 5 points up in the first half, playing well. Oulart got a couple of goals. Second half, Oulart went 4 points up, had a chance of a goal, would have went 7 points up with 10 or 15 minutes left, and at that stage, if they had scored that goal, they probably would have won that game handy enough, because momentum was with them. They were building and working, they were playing the ball through the lines and getting some nice scores. Didn't happen. Got a draw, so they're on a point with Rathnure. Barntown is last in the group, so you know, Oulart, it's a big game for Oulart to kind of have to win this game to, you know, if they don't win, it's kind of coming down to Gorey next and then Glenbarntown last. So it's going to be a big game for both teams at the weekend.
Yeah, it is, as Darren mentioned, it's really probably more important for Oulart to win this game maybe than it is the Shelmaliers. We're not really used to talking about Oulart not having won a game after the first round or two. But they will be buoyed by the fact that they won the league. Although receiving a walkover in the semi-final maybe didn't reflect very well on the way teams were treating the league, but it's still great to win that, and teams were trying to win the league, so they must be buoyed by that.
Yeah, I was very impressed with Oulart in the league final actually. They were without Desi Moyden in the same night and Keith Roster, but I was very impressed with some of the younger players. You know, the likes of Kevin Sheridan is a very, very fine hurler, and Anthony Roach was quite good on the night, and young Billy Don Liamson and Peter Murphy I thought had a great game. Now I thought the introduction of Peter Murphy tonight against Rathnure, Darren played a big part in that. And you know, Oulart are Oulart at the end of the day. Now this is the first time in years they've been under pressure, like, you know, and under pressure to win a game. I think it's a crucial game for Oulart, but one that they can win, I think.
And yeah, they have Gorey and Lynn next. Gorey being county champions, and if things don't go their way, and the Lynn game then could come down to a real sort of a battle, but well, we'll discuss that at a later date. But
yeah, well, you know, one advantage this Oulart team has over other Oulart teams, they don't have 9 or 10 lads coming back from the county team. They've only one lad in the county panel this year, so they're very fresh. I was just looking at Owen Moore that night. He looks very sharp, you know, and Owen would have struggled with injuries the last couple of years, so the break from the inter-county definitely has done him the world of good, you know. And Nicky Kerwin was as good as ever that night in the league final. So, you know, they seem to be in good health, and of course Liam will get every last drop out of him, you know. They seem very fit this year.
And just a word then before I go back to Darren about the Shells team. Obviously they have some again, they're a little bit like Ferns in that they have the experience, but then they have a lot of good young players as well.
Yeah, I don't know what the situation with Sean Keane Carroll is, you know. He appeared to pull a hamstring against Kilkenny, and I think he aggravated it last Sunday. He'd be a big loss to the Shells now, you know. He's a very quick player. And you've Ross Banville as well, and you know, they've some good players, but we're not surprised. Like, they've been very successful in underage over the last few years, and you know, Owen Doyle and these lads, they're experienced players now, and you know, it could go anywhere. As I keep saying to you, the 6 matches are going to be very close, you know. And particularly Group B, there's only a puck of the ball between any of them. So that match can go anywhere.
If you were the Oulart manager this year, Darren, what sort of an approach would you be taking to a Shells game? Would you be looking to try and stop anyone or play in a particular way? Or
No, I don't think you can do that in any game. I think you just need to concentrate on your own. Like Oulart have done that for years, same as Rathnewer played to their strengths, Barntown, Gorey. Oulart will probably try to work the ball through the line. Like if Garrett Sinna, a target man, Peter Murphy came on again in Rathnewer and played brilliant. He changed that game. He came on when I think we were 5 points down, turned it around, got a good few puckouts, made a few scores, got a few frees. You know, the one thing Oulart have over Barntown is Oulart have the know how to win games. If it's tight going into the last stretch, like Oulart will win that game. That I have no doubt. You have a back line with Key Roster, Barry Keogh, Owen Moore, Kevin Sheridan, you know, Anthony Roach. These boys are solid. Sean Murphy, like that's a solid 6 backs, and Burry O'Leary in the goal. Like there's as good as 6 backs and goalkeepers in any club team that you get anywhere.
And it took an awful special goal against Rathnewer for Birdie to be bet.
Yeah, well, I think that now was there was a deflection in that ball going in now, so I don't think it was as good as what it looked like on the photo. Ed'll disagree with me, but it wasn't. It was a deflection going in.
Definitely the best goal I ever saw in Bedfield anyway, Darren.
Well, the best deflection you ever seen, Ed. So.
The other thing, I suppose that's worth noting about Oulart in the first 2 games was, although they were sort of poor at the start, we'd say they finished very, very strongly in both of the games. They were, what did you say, they were 4 or 5 points down to Highgate at one stage?
They were 10 points down to Highgate in the second half.
Or to Rathnewer, actually, at one stage.
4 points down again, Rathnewer,
4 or 5 points
They were sluggy starting off, but they kind of get going in the middle of these games and kind of start galloping on near the end.
Yeah.
You know, Rory Jacobs sending off, which was absolutely stupid. Like, you know, I don't know how Brian O'Leary sent him off, to be honest. And you know, I thought that might have been the losing of the game. But in fairness, the boys rided around, got the next couple of scores, came back. I'm not sure if they went level at one stage, but look, Allgate got the next couple of scores. Who came out again, Rathnewer. It was a tight game, brilliant game of hurling, some great scores and a real open game of hurling. You know, there was no dirt in it. It was just pure hurling from 2 hurling teams. Rathnewer went 5 points up, 4 or 5 points up at one stage. Oulart came back, it was nearly a 9 point of a turnaround. Got a few lucky goals. Look, young Peter Sutton was going through in the second half. He had picked it into his hand. It was a goal. Just mispicked it, kicked it wide. Oulart would have been 7 points up, and I think they would have won that game. Rathnewer did well to come back and scored a goal and a few points near the end. And Oulart would have been kicking themselves because they find themselves in a position now where, you know, next 3 games, if they win on Sunday, it'll put them in great stead going in for the last 2 games. If they happen to lose on Sunday, I think the next game is in Gorey, county champions, be a monumental game for them. Then they've Barntown last. So I think for both teams it's going to be a big game on Sunday, and the outcome will. Probably Shelmaliers are in a better position at the moment, but I'll repeat them. It'll put that group wide open. Yeah, you know, especially if
make it very even.
Oh yeah, even up there. Yeah,
well, it's a very even group anyway, and it's probably the slightly stronger the 2 groups as was said earlier. But really depending on we could have teams nearly level with each other going into the final round in this group maybe. I think
after this week now it'll start taking shape. You know. I always think that round 3 was going to be the one that will take shape, you know, whoever will win, because all the games are so close, whoever will win and have an advantage.
And the other thing as well, of course, is that the last 2 rounds were 3.5 months ago, and some teams could be going quite well then, and 3.5 months later you could be going quite poorly, or the opposite, you know, you could have lads injured for the first couple of rounds and you'd have them back and things like that, you know. Yeah,
well, you take a team like Oulart, have been training purely hurling for the last 3.5 months, like, you know, and that will bring us advantages next Sunday, you know. And Darren is right what he's saying. If they're within touching distance near the end, the experience will get them over the line.
So we'll just get your prediction then, Ed. So what do you think
Well, I think Oulart realise that they have to win this game, and I think it's going to take a fair team to stop them Sunday. So if you were to ask me a prediction, I think Oulart will win this by 3 points.
And Darren?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Oulart as well. I think it's going to be tough for him though. I think it's going to be very tough. There's not going to be a whole lot in it. I just think to get into a rhythm in this match, if Gareth Sinnott is on form, he'll have a massive say on Sunday. And I think Oulart maybe, if it's a tight game, a couple of points in the end there.
I think myself maybe the Shells might just nick it, or maybe even a draw. I think it'll be a very close game. I was just very impressed with the Shells against Aldgate, and it was difficult maybe to judge them on the first day. It was a very windy day into Mun against Lynn, but I think maybe the Shells just for a point or two win.